Hellos, welcome back to another videos, and today we're going to be taking a look at Arena Pauper staples, and we'll also be taking a look at the decks that use these Pauper staples, and we'll go into like how to build, you know, kind of a pretty solid Pauper deck. So the main reason I made this list because kind of had a convo in the Discord about what are the Pauper staples. And I don't know if we have a list, but I made a list for myself because I thought this would be helpful as well for some people. So, uh, there's mostly lands in here, but I'll explain there's other cards as well. Now, I didn't include everything on this list. I might have missed some stuff, so I will try to probably make a thread on the Arena Pauper staples. For Historic Pauper, specifically, I don't know the other formats like Standard Pauper or, Explorer Pauper. So we're just going to go based on the most popular format, which is Historic Pauper. So first off, let's mention Bajuka Bog, I guess. It is a card you probably need. It is not a card you must have, but it is a card that is kind of important. It's not really used that much, but I think it's still good to craft it because it is a very good land for what it does. It just exiles target player's graveyard. I mean, could be a ton of decks that rely on that, especially Mystic Sanctuary or any Terror decks. So exile on a graveyard can be backbreaking sometimes. And anyways, we got the artifact lands. I only include the most popular ones. There are other ones too, but Crossford Bridge, Goldmire Bridge, Mistvault Bridge, Rustvale Bridge, all the bridges, Silver Bluff, Sagwood. So those are basically the most popular bridges you can play. I would craft all of these because these are really important to the format. I think without these, your deck is pretty limited on what it could do, especially the cards I'm going to talk about. So having artifact lands is pretty much a must in this format. I think you have to have these cards. Now, granted, you probably don't need it for some decks, but for most decks, you probably need it if you're splashing like maybe 2 or 3 colors. I would suggest running these lands because these lands are very helpful on what they do. So, if you have the common wild cards to craft them, go right ahead. It is pretty keno that these lands exist, so they're really good. I have Jagged Barrens. This is, if you want this. This is pretty much good in burn. I would craft this card. Just does 1 damage to target opponent. I'd maybe craft 1 or 2, depending on how much burn you want to put into it. Some lists put 3, but 1 or 2, that's what I put in. Then we have Mystic Sanctuary. Pretty self-explanatory. It's a banned card in Paper Pauper, but it's legal here. And it's a pretty useful card because it puts an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. So pretty good if you want some, versatility on your control decks. This is a really good card. I'd craft maybe 1 or 2 of these. Really nice. Then we have the fetch lands. These are self-explanatory. They fetch for an island, mountain, plains card, or any of the other basic land types. These are just the most popular, probably, is Perilous Landscape and Twisted Landscape are probably the most popular ones. So yeah, these are, I would say, not a must, but if you're planning to play on more than 1 color, then yeah, I would probably put these in. Then we got the regular artifact lands. These are the lands that are not indestructible, that just tap for a color, blue and black. So if you're playing Affinity, these are pretty much a must-have. I would say you probably don't need the crafties if you're not playing Affinity. If you're just playing other decks, you probably don't need these, but for Affinity, for like the top deck, you probably need this. Then I included one of a fetch land for dual lands. Now I will explain dual lands. I think dual lands, there is the island and mountain one. Most common one you're going to see those mountain forest. You could craft most of the dual lands. I think having dual lands is really nice, especially for some of the cards we're going to talk about. I actually don't have most of them listed, just because I'm still up in the air, but I can add them on the list whenever I want to, so it's really up to you guys. I just have this one because I think it's the most important one. Then we have Novice Inspector. I guess we'll also talk about Thraben Inspector. But Novice Inspector, Pretty much a must-have. This is a staple. This has been a staple for a long time. Well, actually, technically, Thraben Inspector has been a staple for a long time. It's just a solid creature. Enters, you investigate. It's a 1/2. It's really good at dodging like board wipes. It's really good at just keep attacking, and you have this 1/2. It's just so good. This is probably a must-have for any deck that's going aggressive. So having Thraben Inspectors or Novice Inspector is really important. Next we have the Nyxborn Hydra. This is a new card that's recently been added, but it is a powerhouse. A lot of decks are gonna play this, and I mean a lot. Like Green Stompy, Gruul Ramp, even the new Jun Wildfires deck is gonna play this. So this is a card you gotta keep your eye on, and this is a card you probably should craft. One or two of them, maybe even Bogles plays this. I don't know, but it is a really good card. So I'd keep your eye out for this one. Muldarian Epicure, also a pretty like old staple of this format. It has always been a really good card. It is just a 1 mana, deals 1 damage to each opponent. You create a blood. It is just a perfect card for burn decks. This is like a must, have for burn. So I would definitely pick this up as well. Core Skyfish are another oldie but a goodie. This is up to you if you want this, but it is a very solid creature. For 2 mana, you get a 2/3 flyer. You just have to return a permanent to your hand. But it's a pretty nice creature. It's very, very hard to like get better than this. This is probably the best creature in white. This is probably the best you're gonna get. Is this guy? This Core Skyfisher is really, really good. Don't underestimate it. It is a really good card. We kind of have some sideboard. I put Mass Vandal here, but you can also run Troublemaker Oof. It's up to you. Both of them do similar things, but this is when you bargain, you exile target artifact or enchantment. Or if you have a graveyard deck, you can also use Mass Vandal to do the same thing. So these are pretty good cards. I would craft either one of them. Depends what you like. Troublemaker Oof might be a little bit more playable because the what it asks you is not that hard. So I'd probably go with Troublemaker Oof for like sideboards, against Affinity, against Bogles, all those type of stuff. So yeah. Then next up we have the Ninjas. Oh yes, the Ninjas. Ninjas doesn't see a lot of play. And maybe it's still a good card to have. The 2 ninjas, are really nice. If you're planning to make ninjas, these are pretty much a must-have. There's a lot of flavors of it. I know you can put the unblockable creatures in it, or you could just go with the nice fairy theme. I think the fairy theme is a lot better. But it's just when it deals combat damage to player, you draw a card. If you do, discard a card. It's buffed on Arena, so you get a really nice buff with this guy. I think it's like Scry 2, and then you like draw a card. It's something crazy like that. But yeah, it's just really good cards to have. Either one is really nice. I think you should craft some of these, but it's up to you if you want to make that deck. Just really popular. We have Withering Chrysalis. This is this is probably the best creature in the format. I don't think it gets better than this. It's just when you cast a spell, you create 2 colorless Eldrazi spawn tokens. Sacrifice and I'm gonna sneeze. Colorless. And it has reach, just sandwiched in there. And whenever you sacrifice an Eldrazi, you put a counter on this guy. So this guy is basically just a powerhouse. He is really hard to get rid of in this format as well. He is just unstoppable. He is just one of the best creatures you can play on curve. And it doesn't get any better than this. This is a must-have, I think. If you're gonna play any like Gruul or Jund, this is like a must-have. You kind of need this card. And this is also a card you should keep your eye on. This card is going to get really popular really quickly. Next we have Trolla Khazad-dûn. And I was talking about the dual lands, and yeah, these cyclers are basically really good because it's just 1 mana swamp cycling, but with swamp cycling, you can get any dual lands because it says swamp card. So that's why I said, these are solid creatures on rate 2. And you can basically just have these in your deck and return them with your various return effects like Blood Fountain and whatnot. Or you can even play Witch's Cottage if you want to. These are just really good cards on rate, and I highly suggest you pick some of these up. Maybe not all of them, but it's nice to have some of them. Next up, we have Mirror Enforcer for Affinity. Of course, it is just Affinity for Artifacts creature. Yeah, this is pretty obvious. If you're going to play Affinity, you at least need one of these. Or not one of these. You need 4 of these. Very important to the format. It's always been a staple. It's never really gone away. Yeah, this is just a must-have. You must craft this card if you're going to play Affinity. So, yeah. Next, we have another big fatty, Tolarian Terror. This is, again, also always been a staple. It is just such a good card on rate for control decks. You just get it down really quick. It has Ward 2, which is really, really nice, so it's harder to target. And yeah, it's just one of the best control creatures you can play. It's a really nasty card if you get it out early. This is also a must-pick craft, so keep your eye on this card. It's really good. We have Blood Fountain. Controversial. It's been played not just in Affinity, but a lot of decks, actually. They're just like returning creatures. On rate, you can sacrifice 4 mana, return up to 2 carded creatures from your graveyard to your hand. So really just a good, solid card. Like I said, most of these staples on this list, they're kind of in the range of popular to must-have. This is pretty popular. You'll see it a lot. Just keep your eye on this, and we'll see what happens with the card. I don't know. We have Synth. Synth is just a really nice card. I wouldn't pick it up necessarily, but it is really popular if you're playing like Adulta. But it's just also a really nice egg if you're playing also Boros Synth. So yeah, it just, when it enters or leaves, you exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card. So it kind of gives you a draw for 1 mana. It's really, really nice. And you can sacrifice it later to create a 2/2 white samurai. So yeah, just really, really good. This is pretty much, if you're going to play that deck, you kind of have to have this card. So we have Relic. I think people should respect this as a way to craft. I think people must craft this in Arena Pauper. This is just really one of the most important cards in Arena Pauper, and if you do not have this, you are going to lose to a lot of graveyard decks. And there are some graveyard decks, so don't sleep on this card. This card is really, really good in this format. Relic on rate is just really, really, it hits a lot of decks, and you'll see it in a lot of sideboards. It's pretty much, I would say, in almost every sideboard, but I mean, who knows? It's just a really, really popular card. I'd pick maybe 1 or 2 up. I wouldn't pick up maybe all 4. Not, you don't need all 4 relics. You really only need 1 or 2. So it's a really nice card. We're going to go over the eggs. I think the eggs are the most important card in the format. So we have Ichor Wellspring. This enters, when it enters or is put in the graveyard, you draw a card. So we'll talk about the other cards that synergize with this, but yeah, this is just really nice. You just draw a card for 2 mana, and then you sack it to draw another card. It's just really, really good. And then we have Lembas. Lembas, kind of a new addition. Enters, you scry 1 and draw a card, but you can sacrifice it to gain 3 life, and then when it goes to your graveyard, you shuffle it. Another really nice egg in the format. It is so good. Especially the gain 3 life, sometimes that comes up. You want to gain life against burn. This is really, really nice. So don't underestimate these. These are pretty much must-haves if you're going to build any mid-range decks. So I'd pick both of these up if you can. This one's kind of controversial. I have Tithing Blade on here. It has always been a staple in the format. I don't know. It's probably out of favor, but I would still pick up some if you're planning to play some of the core Skyfisher decks. I think it's still an important card. It's up to you. I think Affinity might play it too. It is really just a solid card. You sacrifice a creature. It's really, really nice to have, I think. So I just put it on here. I don't know. It might not be good enough anymore, but, we'll see. We have Ethereal Armor. I think this is just a no-brainer. This is a really good card for 1 mana. This is an enchantment. It gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. This is the only effect you're going to get in Arena Pauper. Well, Historic Pauper specifically, but yeah, this is like the only thing you're gonna get. Because Ancestral Mask is banned. So yeah, get it while you can. It's really good in Bogles, really good in the Heroic deck. I'd pick some of these up. It depends on if you want to build it though, but it's up to you. Again, you can always craft it on uncommon, so you can take advantage of that. Next we have Trespasser's Curse. I don't know if it's also fallen off favor, but it's still a pretty neat card. Storm decks hate this card. And also like any aggressive mono white or like any creature deck would really hate this card. So it is still a good card to pick up. I would keep your eye on this one too. Next we have Torch the Tower. I see this sometime played. It's pretty decent. It just, you bargain it. You'll deal 3 damage to a permanent. You scry 1. It's not terrible. Can also deal 2 damage just to be kind of like a regular shock without the upside of shocking your opponent. And the good thing about it is if it's dealt damage, it would exile it. So yeah, pretty good card if you like, you know, some of these effects. I'd pick some of them up. You never know. Next up, we have Candy Grapple. I think this might be the best format like removal spell. And I don't know what's there we go. You just bargain it. You can give -5/-5, or you can get -3/-3. So, pretty much outdates the older cards. This basically is the new, like this is the renaissance of removal, I think. Last Gasp is no longer even a good card because of this card existing. It is just way better. This is probably the best removal you're going to get. I know there's other forms of removal, but at instant speed you can't go wrong with this one. You can also bargain it, so you could basically like draw a card off your eggs and remove a creature at the same time. So not terrible. It's pretty good. Speaking of efficient removal, we have Thraben Charm. This is just a must-have, I think, in the format. This does pretty much everything you want it to. Deals damage equal to twice the number of creatures you control, can destroy artifacts, and it can exile any number of target players' graveyards. So, yeah, just really, really good. I don't know why you wouldn't play this card. It's just so good at what it does. Instant speed, oh, it's just really, really good. It does everything you want it to. Really nice card for 2 mana. I would pick up all 4. It's just that good. Next up, we kind of have a new card. It is only Pioneer Masters legal, so it's only legal in our format. But it's Unravel the Aether. And it's basically kind of like the Glamour. So, yeah. Choose target artifact or enchantment. Its owner shuffles it into his library. Good thing about this is it gets around like them putting it in the graveyard. So sometimes they'll recur it. Like if you kill a Mirror Enforcer, they can just recur it sometimes. But doing this kind of sets them back. And basically kind of treats it like it's exiled. So I think this is a really good card in sideboards. I think people should actually play this. It is really good. And it's basically D-Glamour. D-Glamour sees play a lot in, you know, Paper Pauper. So yeah. Next up, we have the 2 board wipes. I only have 2 on here. That's Suffocating Fumes, which gives -1/-1 to all your opponent's creatures, and then End the Festivities is just deals 1 damage to each creature your opponent controls. So pretty nice. Yeah, these are pretty much the only board wipes you're gonna see. But yeah, it's just, I guess Z-Lot. Z-Lot. Yeah, it's just, these are 2 of the most played board wipes in the format, so maybe not as much as End the Festivities, but, you know, still played a lot. And then next up we have Faithless Looting. Controversial, but I think it's a nice pickup. Really depends on what you're going for. I know Madness Burn probably would like it still, even though that deck kind of got nerfed. But, you know, it's still a really good card. Even if he's playing the Goblins combo deck like I play. So, yeah, I mean, I maybe pick up some of these. Depends on if you like it, but I think it's a format staple. Next up, we got Kadoltha Rebirth. Obviously, this is just a good card. If you're not playing like Kadoltha Burn, you need this card. Pretty much a must. It's just 1 mana, make 1/1 goblins. So good. Um, I don't know what else to tell you, but this is a really, really good card. And you just sacrifice an artifact. It's not too hard to accomplish. That's why I told people you got to play the artifact lands, because if you do not have an artifact to sacrifice, you cannot make this work. So, not like it needs it, but I mean, even sacrificing any artifact, you know. Next up is Malevolent Rumble. It's another newcomer, kind of. Um, yep, just a really solid card. So he's playing Bogles, he's playing Gruul Ramp. It's just really, really good at what it does. I'd pick up some of these cards. Really nice. Modern Horizons really made this format explode, so another powerful card. Next up, we kind of have another controversial pick. It's Revoke Existence. 1 or 2 is fine. Maybe 3. I think this is really good. This is the closest we're gonna get to Dust to Dust. It just exiles target artifact or enchantment for 2 mana. I think it's really, really nice that you get to exile something. But it's up to you. Some people think this is not a good card, but I think I still play it in my sideboard, so it's something you should keep your eye on. I think it's still a really good card. And next up we have Winding Way. This is the only card in green that you can choose to dig a lot. We do not have Lead to Stampede, sadly. So this is the closest you're going to get. You can just choose a creature or land and put them into, reveal the top 4 of your library and put all the cards chosen this way into your hand and the rest in your graveyard. So you could just get, this could just be a 2 mana draw 4. So yeah, that seems pretty good. Nice if you're playing green decks. So it helps you reload and it's really nice. So obviously we have Lorien Revealed. Sometimes for the draw 3, but mostly for the island cycling. You could island cycle for your Mystic Sanctuary or your dual lands. So just a really nice card to have. I would see that there's no different. And just, if you don't run this, I mean, your deck's a little bit worse. So I would pick up some of these, maybe all 4 of them. It's just a really, really nice card in control decks. Then we have Thoughtcast. This is for Affinity. I think this is kind of a must for Affinity. You just draw a lot of cards, so yeah. Pick these up. Next up we have Treasure Cruise. This is just draw 3 cards for, you know, basically 1 mana sometimes, but maybe 2. But it's just draw 3 cards. This is the only time you're going to see it legal in Pauper. So, yeah. It's really, really nice. I thought I had Deadly Dispute here, but I guess I didn't add it. Oops. But I guess let's go over the most important card in the format. I thought I added Deadly Dispute, but I guess I didn't. A Deadly Dispute. Yes. You would think it's not a good card. But it is. It is like the most important card. Right here. This card? Oh boy. Pick up all 4 of these cards. This is a must-have. This is basically the best card in the format. I don't know what else to tell you. I just you sacrifice this an artifact creature. It could be a creature too, so that's really nice. Artifact or a creature. Draw 2 cards. Create a treasure token. It's basically 1 mana Ancestral Recall. Sometimes this card is so powerful. I mean, you basically need this in every deck that's playing black. If you don't play it, you're losing out on a bunch of advantage. Like, your deck is just not good if you're not playing this card. This is just a must-have. This is basically the best staple in the format. It's the one that sees play the most. You can't get any better than this. I guess you could. There is other, like, sacrifice artifact or creature, draw 2. But this is the best you can get because it basically, you go, like, only 1 mana on this usually. So yeah, really nice. Blanks removal, draws you cards, creates you treasure tokens, mana fixes you, does everything you want it to. This card is borderline bannable, but they'll never ban it. It's gonna be the most powerful card to the end of time for Pauper. It is so good. Um, Pick this up. This is a must craft. This card is gonna be really important to the format. So yeah, I'm surprised I didn't add it, but those are all the staples. Um, I'll have a link to it when I make the thread. I cannot on my YouTube because YouTube is not letting me post links right now. So I'm going to just link it in the Discord. We're just going to show you really quickly what decks it's played in. Um, I made a lot of, so for like the creatures I talked about today, um, Chrysalises play. I know there's Generous Ant, and I don't actually play the dual lands. You could if you want to. Winding Way, of course. This gets me more cards. And Nyx 400. So you can see, like, and Malevolent Rebel, you can see that there's the staples in here. And I see play everywhere else, too. So not just this deck. There's other decks that see play, like this Judgment mid-range deck. Has Chrysalis as well. Has Nyxborn Hydra as well. We even see Blood Fountain, you know. Candy Grapple is in here. Yeah. Everything else. I guess Cleansing Wildfire is a new one. I might add to it, but we'll see. We even have the eggs. So, if you're not convinced that these are staples, then I don't know what to tell you. Then I guess we'll take a look at maybe older decks in the format. So we have like Synth. I play Golotha in my Synth decks. Yeah, of course I run the white creatures as well with the eggs. See a common thread here? Trend here. Pretty weenie. I guess we have Sunny Birds. Runs Ethereal Armor. So yeah. And of course, we don't have any of the cyclers, but we do have some cyclers. So even have some of the, cards I did talk about, like Revoke Existence. I play all 4 still. So yeah, I mean, I think I have other decks too, like Clerics. But those are like specific cards, so these are the decks I mostly play. Guess I even my Goblins combo deck. I play even eggs as well, so forgot to add Duress. I don't know why I wasn't in that list, but Duress is kind of important. I guess it's kind of important. Not really see, but I guess it doesn't see that much playing sideboards, but yeah, it even run Deadly Dispute. Hey, there's Deadly Dispute. See, it's not. I'm not making this up, guys. There's Deadly Dispute. Deadly Dispute. Any black deck you see, maybe instead of zombies, runs Deadly Dispute. I should say every black deck, but most black decks run it. And yeah, I could show you a bunch of other decks, but you get the point. Those are the staples of the format. And that's pretty much about it. So what do you guys think? I'll post this video later on. I'm going to post the thread first of the Pauper staples. And I hope people add on to it, and we'll see where this goes. But this is pretty much all you need to make a really good Pauper deck in Arena. So it doesn't get any better than this. So hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of the day or night. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Bye and peace.